What will Texas Tech look like without quarterback Patrick Mahomes? Oklahoma picks up, just recently, just now, picked up a graduate transfer at receiver, ranking the Big 12's non-conference schedules, and who is best poised for the future at quarterback in the Big 12. That's what we have to talk about today. It's Tuesday, March 28th. This is the Daily Spread. I'm Chris Ross. It's all brought to you by LandGrantGauntlet.com. Should be a good show. I'm going to go ahead and tweet this out as I always do. If you like the show, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the don't like button. Hopefully we'll get better. Share it. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And we'll get after it here. Are we live yet? Let me look here. I got these sound panels, trying to improve the show always. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with them yet. Right now I just have them kind of propped up on the monitors in front of me. But ideally I'll get something, kind of make a semicircle around the mic here to kind of block out some of that echo and stuff that we've heard in other shows. So hopefully we can kind of get that under control. All right, where is this here? Are we live? Oh, there I am. All right. Sorry, no production crew. Got to do it all myself. And no, I don't want to schedule that. I want to do that right now. All right, and that is out. Okay, guys, it's Tuesday. How's your week so far? Pretty good for me. It's sunny outside, but I think that is about to change. I think Oklahoma City is supposed to get quite a bit of rain here this week, but we could use it, so that's always good. Also, got a new chair. I love that. You guys probably don't know this. I've never revealed this on air or anything, but I always swap out my office chair before the show because the old one, I don't know, it always kept falling down on me, and I didn't want that to happen during the show, so I'd swap it out for just a standard chair. They got the new chair delivered yesterday, and so far I am loving it, so that is awesome. I'm excited about that, and you guys probably don't care, and that's boring, but it was good for me. Okay, so let's get into today's topics. Patrick Mahomes. If you see this on our homepage, it just went up a few minutes ago. It's really cool. Robert Spradley, he wrote this up. I give him the credit for this. He's looking at the Texas Tech offense without Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the kid. If you guys were here last year paying attention, you know that we're very, very high on Patrick Mahomes. Think the world of him and what he's capable of when he is fully healthy. A perfect example, is John Gruden saying he has one of the best throws he's ever seen anybody make. When he rolled out to his left and on the run just flicked it across his body 55 yards in the air to a wide open Giles in the end zone. Not every quarterback can do that. In fact, very, very, very few have that kind of arm strength or awareness while they're on the run like that. Tech's offensive line wasn't very good last year. But Mahomes, kind of helped them out. He can extend plays. He's elusive. And defenses, that puts a lot of stress on a defense when a guy is kind of running around in the backfield, because eventually a linebacker or a safety or someone's going to have to commit to him and try to end the play there. But in doing so, they're going to leave someone open in the secondary. Now, most quarterbacks, when they take off, the defense can kind of collapse a bit because a quarterback is fairly limited to how far he can throw on the run. Mahomes is not. Mahomes has a cannon, and it doesn't take him very much to wind it up, and he can just let it rip. And so that's a lot of stress on a defense. Texas Tech isn't going to have that luxury this next year. Their offensive line is going to have to improve. They're going to have to get a run game developed to help out the new quarterback, whether that is Nick Simonek or someone else. Simonek. I like Simonek. I think he showed a lot of promise. I mean, it was against maybe not the best competition, but he did light up the scoreboard. And Texas Tech is somewhat of a system program there for quarterbacks, with their numbers. But that's not to take anything away from Mahomes. What he did was special, especially, with the offensive line he had. Whereas, Graham Harrell, when he was at Texas Tech and put up ridiculous numbers, he had maybe a little bit better line there protecting him. So while it is somewhat of a system and some of those numbers are due to the system, don't take anything away from what Mahomes can do. The kid is special. Hopefully he does well at the next level. But so anyway, it looks like Shimonek, it's his job to lose. The other kid, Jet Duffy, he is kind of under suspension right now, so he'll get some time in the fall. But I gotta think if Shimonek does well in the spring games, I mean they had the mid-league game this weekend, and then they're in Frisco. If he does well, it's his job to lose in the fall. But it'll come down to the offensive line and the run game. Thankfully, Texas Tech has a lot of receivers to help them out. Definitely check out the article. It's a great read, if we do say so ourselves. No, it's a great read by Robert, and definitely give that a look. That'll be linked afterwards, but it's on our homepage right now. You can go right to that. OU just picked up another commitment. They killed it over the weekend. Picked up 2 commitments in the 2018 class that we talked about yesterday, and today they're padding their 2017 class a little bit. Kentucky receiver, let me pull it up here. Patrick Mayhorn is working on the article right now for you guys. That'll go up right after the show because it broke about 30-40 minutes before the show. So he's working on that. But Jeff Bidet, Bidet, I don't know. I always mess up these names. From Kentucky, he's going to be a Sooner. He's committed, and he'll come in and give kind of some depth there to the receiver group and some immediate depth. He's a graduate transfer, so that means, as it always does, they can play right away. They don't have to sit out the year that the NCAA requires when you're going from a Division I or an FBS to another FBS school. So that's good for the Sooners. Another great pickup. They are just killing it right now on the recruiting trail. So good job to them, as they typically do. I think they've the last several years they've kind of carried the Big 12 on the recruiting trail, where Texas has kind of fallen off. Hopefully the Longhorns can get that turned back around, because the Big 12, we talked about this before, has to do a better job of guarding its territory, and they have to become somewhat competitive on the recruiting trail with 5-stars and 4-star guys. But OU obviously hot right now, so that's good for them. Then Athlon Sports, they put out, next thing we're going to talk about today, great little article. And Athlon is, if you guys haven't heard of them, I don't know what you're doing, but it's wrong. If you're on Twitter at all, if you're Facebook, you should see stuff they've done. These guys have really come on the last couple of years, and they do really cool stuff. And they do a lot of ranking stuff, which I really like. But they're looking at non-conference games in the Big 12, and who has the weakest schedule, who has the strongest schedule in the Big 12. And I don't know if I 100% agree with it, only because I'm looking at it here, and you got let's start at number 1. Texas, they have number 1. They play Maryland, they play San Jose State, and then they go to USC, and that's pretty tough schedule right there. That's going to be, the USC game should be an instant classic. I mean, now when you have the Ohio States, the Oklahomas, the Texas, the USCs, the Notre Dames all playing each other, that's just what any college fan could ever hope for. Those games don't come around very often. We've seen a few the last couple of years, but I mean, before, those games are special, and no matter who you root for, you have to respect those games, and I think that draws a lot of attention. So that's pretty cool. That'll be something to look forward to there in the weekend of September 16th, that USC game with Texas. Oklahoma number 2, obviously, everybody knows they go to Ohio State. on September 9th. That's going to be a tough game. When we saw what the Buckeyes did to the Sooners in Norman, so OU has their work cut out for them, especially Baker Mayfield's returning, but who is he throwing it to? Those questions will need to be answered pretty quickly. Who's going to get the carries, with Mixon and Pirine gone? So OU has a lot of questions to answer early. They're obviously one of the contenders for the Big 12. They have a lot of returning talent, but that is going to be a tough matchup for them. They start out against UTEP in Norman and then Tulane after the Ohio State game. So pretty decent schedule there. They should have no problem with UTEP or Tulane, but they are a decent enough opponent to where it's not a total you just get off the bus and you win. They'll have to put together a little something, Oklahoma State, number 3. They have Tulsa, South Alabama, and then they travel to Pitt. So that's a decent schedule. I think that's probably an ideal non-conference schedule because you have the 2 probable wins, but they're not bad opponents, but they're probable wins. And then you have a decent Power 5 school that and you're on the road. So that's probably a really good schedule. Now, when you're a team like Oklahoma or Texas and you're fighting for national championships, I know Texas isn't right now, but just overall in the course of history, when you play at USC or you go to Ohio State, you're putting a lot on the line. You're putting a national championship on the line, theoretically. I mean, you can't say that in week 1, but it could derail your whole season. And, I mean, that's tough because someone's going to – and that's tough for both teams. You look at Ohio State and OU, whoever wins that game has a really good chance at making the college football playoff. And whoever doesn't, whoever loses has their work cut out, and they're going to have to kind of get back into things. So I would prefer, as a fan, a schedule more like Oklahoma State has, where it's still a decent opponent, but you don't want to risk absolutely everything. Because Oklahoma State should win that game, but Pitt will be a gritty, tough opponent. You saw them; they beat the Big Ten champion last year in Penn State there. So, but I think where I disagree with some of this, and where I disagree with some of this rankings that Athlon did here is, they have Kansas last, and I don't know. Yeah, Kansas's schedule is crap, and from a pure ranking standpoint, like I think they hit the nail. They did a pretty good job here, but I would weight it somewhat to level of the Kansas. Who do you want them to go play? You want them to go schedule 3 losses? We're talking about Kansas here. So I think some of that should be taken into account. So honestly, I would give the worst non-conference schedule to who they have number 8, and that's Kansas State. Kansas State is a contender this year. They have a lot of talent returning. They're obviously it's Bill Snyder. If this is his last ride, Kansas State could be playing for everything here with just leave everything out on the field, and they're playing Central Arkansas, Charlotte, and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, it's an SEC opponent, so I won't knock them too much for that. But it is, I would say that they're the biggest discrepancy. They're the better team with the least competition, and that's kind of why I would put them last. But definitely check out those rankings. It's there on Athlon. We'll have it ranked in the post after the show, or have it ranked. We'll have it linked in the post after the show. And then ESPN, the Jake Trotter and Mitch Sherman, they put together who is the best poised at the quarterback position for the future. Not necessarily 2017, but 2018, 2019, that kind of thing. Who is best poised for the future? And Sherman says Texas. And that's a bit of a surprise. Although not really. They have Shane Buechele, who has a few years left in him. Sam Ehlinger, that's right. I always have a hard time pronouncing names, so I take a second to think about it. Sam Ehlinger, they provide a pretty good young tandem there, and I could see why he went with them. And then Jake Trotter goes with Oklahoma, with Kyler Murray and Austin Kendall, and those aren't that's not that surprising. I would agree with probably both of those, because if you look around the conference, You look at Oklahoma State, they have Mason Rudolph. Well, this is his last year, but who's behind him is relatively unknown. They have a couple of guys, but no one's really sure who's going to kind of step up and fill that role. And you look around the rest of the league, I think everybody's kind of in the same position there, with not a lot of depth or not a lot of proven. I guess that there's guys to be excited about, but not a lot of proven talent in the wings right now at this point. So I agree with both of those. We'll have that article linked as well. Not a lot of news today, so not a lot to talk about. I think we're kind of going in on the time limit here. Let me scan kind of the headlines one last time, see if anything's popped up, and I am not seeing anything that we would care all too much about. All right, guys. I think this has been a show. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the don't like button, hit the share button. If you're watching this on YouTube later, hit the little subscribe button. We love that. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Chris Ross. This is the Daily Spread. We will see you guys tomorrow.